call the meeting of Ramsey County Commissioners to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move to approve.
Second. Approve in a second. Any corrections, additions, or further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Lucas, can you hear us? I think we never lost him. Year-end bills. It's kind of there. It's kind of there. Candy, do we have anything interesting to, in the year-end bills that I want to ask you?
Nope, we tried, I think everyone did well, very well, to get them all in, so that we have nothing left to pay.
Okay.
We're doing the road ones too.
Yep.
The Cove Road one is on there, but we can deal with that later.
All right, later.
Yeah,
Do we want to handle that FEMA one separately later
we
too?
can,
Okay.
yeah, we can just put it with cousin stuff.
Everything but the FEMA bill
Yep.
later, let's list it then. Okay. Any further questions on the bill?
Motion
We have a motion to approve the bills, do we have a second? Second.
Is the, is this different than what was in the,
That's additional,
this is additional,
On top of that.
okay?
yep.
Any further questions? Give me a second.
Cold one, we're gonna do separate, there, Kevin?
Yeah.
Good.
Roll call, please.
Brown,
Aye.
Frith,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Next one, choose. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brenda, Michaela, welcome.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce Michaela Hines, who's an intern in our office this summer, specifically working with me. Michaela's a senior at NDSU. She was a 4-H member in Nelson County, is how we became acquainted. And I'm going to let Michaela tell you a little bit about the class and a couple of things she's done this summer.
So in order to have an extension minor through NDSU, you have to complete an internship of 150 hours. So that's what I'm working on right now. And a couple things I've done this summer was help with the American Red Cross Babysitters course and the ATV safety course.
And one of the requirements is to observe government in action, and here you all are.
Yeah.
So this is the most exciting part of the process.
Of course, always.
Well, thank you for coming. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
that
me.
you were here this summer.
We'll try to keep things quiet.
Yes, we will. Thank you for coming. On to Bill.
Mr. Chairman,
Notice.
I understand it's gonna get cold.
That's what I've heard.
Yes. I am here with our district director, and I will introduce him in just a second. But as you've all known, there's been some budget concerns across the state, and of course, one of them concerns is with extension. And we have some dollars that need to be made up. I also am aware that at the last meeting, you talked a little bit about some of the things that pertain to that budgetary concerns. So with that in mind, I'm gonna let Ron Lederholt, this is Ron Lederholt, discuss what the proposed changes are and how it'll affect Ramsey County.
Welcome, Ron.
Thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information and answer any questions, try to answer any questions you guys might have. Did any of you get a chance to watch the webinar that Director Boardroom had sent out? So a few of you maybe got to see that. Well, what I'll do then is I'll kind of give a little condensed version of what's happened in the last year and a half. You may or may not have heard about a little over a year ago, SBARE, the State Board of Ag Research and Education, that's the, I don't know what you call them, the legislative liaison group that kind of oversees extension and research through NDSU in the state of North Dakota. And they also are the ones that kind of carry our message to the state legislature. Well, SBARE had initiated an internal review of the NDSU Extension Service, which, I mean, internal reviews are always good because it gives you a chance to really take a look at what you're doing, make sure you're meeting the needs or you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. During that and then while they were doing that internal review, then the legislative session took place, and there were the budgetary concerns, everybody got cut. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then the legislature reaffirmed that internal review, and they also agreed, yes, this internal review should continue to move forward, and they want a full report as well. So what they did in that internal review, and they've done, it's pretty much done. What they're doing now is working on kind of the final report of that. But they looked at 4 areas in extension. The first area they looked at was programmatic areas. Are we doing the education and work that's required of us to meet local needs? The second area was, are we marketing the results of that, as well as telling our story, what we're doing in extension, so we're transparent as what we're doing. And then the last 2 things were kind of are related. They took a look internally at our structure, how we're structured in extension, as well as, driven by the legislative cuts, our budgeting and how we deal with that. So those are the 4 areas they looked at. The programmatic one, the first one they looked at, looking at how effective we are at meeting the local needs. What they discovered, and we already knew, we're doing a very good job of addressing local issues through local education, and we can document that thanks to the good work, outstanding work of local staff like Brenda and Bill and Kayla and others in the state. They took a look and they found out that yes, we are doing a great job of that, and we can back it up with quantifiable data through impact statements and evaluation and work to show that we're actually making a difference. So that was good. The second thing, the marketing and kind of the PR, we can always do better at that. And that's part of it. We don't always want to toot our horn very loud. The other thing is, and this has been kind of a balancing act and extension for over 100 years, it costs money. If you want to advertise or market or tell your story, that costs money. So it's like, do we put the money into doing programs and education, or do we put the money into telling our story? I don't have the right or wrong, I don't have the answer to that, but that's one of the things that we got to look at doing. How do we do a better job of telling our story and marketing what we do? So that came out of that. The other 2 things, the structure and the budgetary situation, when they took a look at that, they took a look at how we're structured with our program areas. We've typically had 4 program areas. We have Ag and Natural Resources, Family and Consumer Science, Community Vitality, and then 4-H Youth Development have been our 4 areas. When they took a look at our structure and looking at the budget cuts, we had a 14% cut, over $4 million to just extension itself. They were wondering if we could be more efficient by adjusting that structure. So what we've done is we took a look at our program areas, and we've decided to go from 4 to 3 now. We'll continue to have Ag and Natural Resources. We'll continue to have 4-H Youth Development. Those are kind of our core areas. And then the Family and Consumer Science and the Community Vitality program areas we've combined into one. And we're going to be calling that Family and Community Wellness. So we went from 4 programs to 3, and effectively we had 4 program leaders. We now only have 3 program leaders. So, we looked seriously and took serious what the recommendation was there. Another part of that structure, which affected me directly and you guys indirectly, we have had 4 district directors. The state was basically cut into 4 quadrants. I was the Southeast District Director. I worked with 11 counties in the Southeast and 30-some staff. We had a retirement over a year ago And so we were kind of backfilling with some interim folks. And based on these recommendations, we also decided to go from 4 district directors to 3. So my area now is the central district. We now have 3 districts, an east, a central, and a west. So now I have 20 counties in the center of the state with a little over 40 staff that I work with. Gain efficiencies, that's what they call that. So we went through that. And then the other thing was when they looked at our structure, then they started looking at how is our structure with the county partnership, which we highly value and greatly appreciate the partnership we have with counties such as you. And they took a look at how are we handling the efficiencies there. And they looked at the budgetary breakout. And the one thing that came out of that was in the baseline, the base policy that we've had since, I think that was agreed on back in, I think it was in the early 90s. Counties would pay 50% of a county agent's salary. We would pay the other 50% plus all the benefits, and then counties would provide the local operating. They took a look at that structure and they started parsing it out, and they realized that over the past decade, salaries have gone up 3%, 2 to 3%, benefits over 60%. So the recommendation and the proposal that came out of that SBIR internal review process was, let's go back and look at the base policy with the counties, and let's change that agreement. Instead of that 50-50, 100, let's go 40% of the counties pay 40% of total compensation, which would be salary and benefits, and then the state would pay 60% of total compensation. Mostly to make it more equitable because of the fact that benefits have risen way faster than salaries. So kind of a recalibration of that county partnership. And that's, I believe you guys might have gotten tables. Yes, you got the tables showing previously what it was costing the county, and then with the change and the increase to the budget that would come in 2019. We wouldn't expect you to adjust 2018's budget, that's already set. So that includes salary and benefits, so you're paying 40%. The benefits, that's health insurance, that's retirement planning, all the typical employee benefits that are included in that. One of the other things that was also a recommendation that came out of that was the proposal, and this does not affect you directly either. They took a look at how efficient we are with our funds, and they asked the question, can we afford to have an agent in every county, especially if there's a county, and they kind of, I don't know, they picked this number. If a county has less than 2,000 people, can we afford to have an agent there? So the other proposal that came out of this review was counties that have less than 2,000 people, we need to look at either combining services with another county, diminishing those services from being a full agent to somebody that's like a 4-H coordinator just to kind of manage the 4-H program, because we're not going to give that up in any counties. Or they don't have an agent at all, which is kind of the worst case scenario of any of those. So we've been sharing that with them. The feedback, these proposals were initially shared with a small kind of the executive committee within the Association of Counties and the County Commissioners Association. And then now we've been moving it out, and I've met with now 9 different counties to share this information. So that's
You got 11 to go down.
pretty.
I had one question.
Yes,
I
sir.
noticed in the Ag Week yesterday when I read that, and I read about the article in this situation. Eddie and Foster have their co-op or their county agents together. They have one county agent now. Their extension office are together.
No, that's not correct.
That wasn't true.
They have an A&R agent in each county,
Okay.
but they do share an FCS or FCW agent. So there is they do share the FCS agent, but they do not share the A&R agents.
Okay.
And the SBIR internal review, rightly, the one thing they came out with is they don't want us to get rid of the county-based model. Thank goodness they understand the value in that. But they're really trying to make it clear that we need to be flexible. Let's say if there is I'm interpreting, this is my interpretation. If there are opportunities to share or find ways, we should not just draw a line in the sand and say, no, we can't share. So I think that's really what's coming through some of this.
In that article, what was the name of that board they were talking about? And that's what you're talking about here?
SBIR, the State Board of Ag Research and Education. Yeah.
They're giving you direction on how to do this?
They statutorily can, yes,
They can.
yes. But, you know, these are proposals, and I guess I should finish out by saying, they're coming out with their final report. There were, you know, there's being feedback from counties to SBIR and their local legislators about these proposals. And SBIR has to give a final report to Legislative Audit Committee in March. So that's kind of that'll be when it's, whatever gets decided is gonna be decided.
You must have some figures on 4-H growth in the state of North Dakota.
You know, actually, we were just talking about that today, and we've had a 4-H growth of 19% numbers in the past year.
Over the whole state?
Yes.
In the last year?
I don't know if it's the last year, I don't know the timeline, but it's 19%. I don't know if you guys have heard, is it a year or longer?
It's about a 2-year timeframe.
Yeah, 2-year timeframe.
2 years?
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brett.
Over the last 5 years, what do you think it is? Is there a guess there?
Over the last 5 years, I would not know offhand, but the last 2. And we've had even more growth, higher percentage of that here in Ramsey County.
You've got a higher percentage in
Mhm.
Ramsey, okay.
And that encompasses what we call all parts of 4-H, because we have our organized 4-H clubs, Candies, Jackson belongs to. Oh, we have shooting sports, we have the Red Cross babysitting course, the ATV course, those are all sponsored as part of 4-H youth development. So there's many different entities to that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I can see it's very easy to budget for the growth of 4-H. I know that, because it's very beneficial to all young people within the community. It's available, and I know it's used in this community extensively. I mean, we've got to thank our leaders.
I agree completely,
you know,
yes.
Volunteers.
They are very important, and they are the cog in the wheel that makes it go. And you know, that's the kind of stuff I appreciate the comments, because you understand the value of it, and sometimes I always like to say, you know, if you struggle with the value of what we do, some of the work we do, and I don't have the numbers to back this up, but if I make a bet, I'm pretty confident that there's probably not too many 4-H kids in the juvenile justice system. So
I don't think so.
what kind of money does that save, and what's the value in that, you know?
Another comment I have is Ricky Schmidt out there in Oliver County. I mean, it seems like he's kind of upset. I've known him for a number of years when it was way back at 4-H.
Okay.
I'm sure Bill's aware of him. I mean, I got a feel for him, but Oliver County is dropping in population.
Yeah, they're one of those
fast.
less than 2,000,
But,
and they're having a public meeting, I know, this week. There's 2 counties in my district, Logan and Sheridan, and I was at a meeting in McCluskey, and that was very tremendous support for our agents.
Running to him at my many trips to the state fair, so he's very knowledgeable.
If there is one positive in this process right now, you know, because of this change to this 40/60, you know, there's an increase to the budget because of that. However, based on the legislative session, we have no salary increases this year or next year. And I'm not gonna guess the following legislative session, but it's probably not gonna be very positive from that perspective. So it's not like you're gonna have a double increase from that perspective. Unfortunately.
Oh, I think something can be worked out. I would think so, we either got him.
I'm sure we can figure something.
You guys, any other questions?
Well, it's nice that it's early on in the, you know, we haven't even thought about next year's budget. So we very much appreciate that you're coming in to us early with these, and realize it's very preliminary too.
We probably start our fundraisers on.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing.
I appreciate that, thank you, Jeff, because, Commissioner Frith, because yes, we want to be as transparent, and we want the feedback. I mean, you guys are a valued partner in this process, and the last thing we're going to do is, you know, come in at the last minute and tell you, you got to do whatever. That's not what we got to do.
But this isn't CBER's final,
That's fair.
SBER's final,
That's a great question. I can't answer that because I don't know what they're gonna do, but I can say, you know, the reception I've gotten in the counties, looking at this proposed, the 40/60, has been pretty good. You know, I mean, nobody wants to pay more, but they understand why. Obviously, the counties less than 2,000 are not happy. So, you know, I'm guessing that this 40/60 is probably gonna go, but the less than 2,000, there might be some tweaking to that. Because there's been a lot of pushback.
What do the legislators say?
They're listening intently to what their people are telling them.
We're getting quite used to budgeting for things that the state used to take over, and the county kind of,
I agree.
we're catching the ball.
This is a bit of one of those things,
Yeah.
but at least, you know, we're trying to show that it's not, we just didn't say we need to shift our budget, it's based on the increase in the benefits and trying to keep that equal partnership. So, but
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I can start listening to things that were,
I know.
but they did take over social service, so that makes us a little more agreeable as far as counties go.
Well, I think we have a good partnership with that office up there, and we have a great staff, and want to see it continue moving forward, so thank you for this update, and
I appreciate it. If you guys ever have questions, Bill or Brenda can get hold of me. Thank you, I appreciate the time.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's to note that right now, Candy, we're using what, 2.7 of our available mills is available to us. So the extension office has 4 mills presently to work with, if it's permitted with the commission. Any more questions for Ron?
cross that bridge when it comes.
We got a little bit of time to digest it here.
Uh,
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheriff Nelson.
Evening. Kind of last minute I put on the agenda, but the state just came out with their vehicle budget to our vehicle bids late Friday, I think. So I hurried up and got some numbers put together, trying to get to this so we can get them ordered. There is an error on the first sheet, on the very first page where it says marketplace, or the very top line. It should be $28,899, not $999 for that, for the Ford utility.
28 what?
$28,899 instead of, it says
999?
$999, yeah, $899. So, oh no, that's still the highest bid I have, so. I did the state bid, which of course is the first number. The state did not bid the Dodge vehicles that we've been doing. So that's an NA as far as the state bid. And then I got the local bids from our two dealers that actually provide us bids. Ford provided the $28,899. Chrysler came in with their Durango at $28,850. Then I started looking at they have a Dodge offer, actually had a state bid on a 4-door, full-size, 4-wheel drive pickup under the police package. And that came in at $28,352. So I asked our local dealer, and his came in at $28,365, which is lower than the Durangos. Now, then I kind of got me thinking here in the last couple of days, and I'm kind of thinking I'd like to try that avenue. I think we get better resale in the end. A lot of the counties have started going to the pickups. It actually saves us a little bit of money as far as equipment for the inside, because we don't have to design a whole second layer of cages for prisoners. Right now in a Durango or an Exo Explorer, you have to have a cage between the driver and the passenger, then you also have a cage between the passenger seat and the rear end, so they can't get out the back. So we eliminate that with this. The bid for the pickup also includes the side boxes, the tool boxes on the sides of the pickup, which would be available to us for storage. So the stuff that we would normally have in the back of the car could be placed in those securely and lockable. So we wouldn't have to have them exposed to the weather as bad. So I guess at this point, I would like to buy 2 pickups this year and just try it and see how it works. And there's still
You
well
need
within
for
our
the box,
Huh?
in the box in the pickup, would you use it?
There are times when we need it, we just don't need it a lot. I mean, but, you know, there are times when we, you know, there are things we could put in there and haul. I mean, there are lots of times when we're doing things with different items and different things that we do with our civil process as far as levies and.
The cheapest.
They do offer an upgrade, they call it their chrome package. So for 500, what is it, 520 some dollars, you can make the wheels chrome, the bumpers chrome, and the grill chrome, which he said would increase your resale value exponentially if you did that, but that's an option we have to do as well. I know, I don't guess it, what does the board think? I guess I'd like to move forward with the pickup one way or the other. At this point, we'll try it. I've checked with several other counties that have them. They're getting roughly the same miles per gallon with those, within a couple. They're 16 to 17, and we're running 19 to 20 right now with the Durango and the Explorer. So I mean, it's really negligible.
Yeah, I see the pickups all over the state.
Yeah, so I mean,
In counties,
and they're, I think we should try it, because if we can increase our resale value and get more money back when we're done with them, I guess that's, you know, we're coming out a little bit more farther ahead.
you're looking at 2 of those.
Yeah. And that, I do have that in my budget for next year. Well, it's actually still cheaper than buying 2 Durangos, what we buy anyway, because I have the lowest bid on the.
I'll make that motion to approve the 2
I'd second that.
with the chrome. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
a couple of bucks difference, they just added it.
Yeah, and they're all within $150 each, including the state bid, so I mean, it's really negligible as far as differences in prices, so.
and I do think that it
We don't
will
have a big
increase
gap.
and the resale value will make that up in the sale at 526.
Okay, we have a motion to second, is that motion to buy it at Chrysler Center?
Yes.
That's right, I want to buy, yeah, I'd like to buy them locally.
That's what I assumed we were
Yeah.
going with, but I just wanted to clarify.
They're so close to the other bid anyway, it's not even,
Well, yeah, you have to take a day to go and get the thing.
no, they'll deliver here,
Well, they will.
but still, I'd rather buy it from our local, but
Absolutely.
For $13, yeah.
that's kind of why I go to get the bids from them. to see
You
what
get a
they
phone
think.
call, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I want to buy it locally.
But
Okay, we have a motion and a second to buy 2 Dodge Ram pickups and do the chrome package and buy them locally from Chrysler Center. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Brown,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Kevin?
Start out with our projects. The Cove Road, we finally got the final bill put together on that and who pays for what section. I didn't write down the total of the estimate on it that we had from Knife River, but that estimate was $50,370. And now, once we've got the final bill put together, we ended up paying $49,373.90, so I guess we got our money's worth there. I think I would entertain a motion we pay for that.
They got everything covered out there, everything taken care of, or?
We're still dealing with the approaches on the west side. And I think, I don't know, I haven't talked to the township, but I suggest that they withhold some money until that gets done. Like 3% or whatever. So I think that's what they're gonna do, but, you know, probably get done in the spring or something. There's like 3 or 4 approaches that they didn't pull the gravel up on the approaches.
The townships are gonna take care of that, get it done.
Yep,
Get it done, okay.
yep,
It's on their stretch of the roadway, correct?
yep. Well, the whole road is there, so they're handling the money and they're gonna make sure the contractor gets it done.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and pay that bill.
We have a motion to pay $49,373.90.
Second.
We have a second, further discussion. Seeing none, roll call please.
Just one question there, townships are happy?
Yeah, they were, because they saved, from the first bill we got to the second bill we got, it was almost $25,000. on a $275,000 bill.
And they're happy with the project?
Well, so far, we'll see. They asked me the other day when they were in, how long our warranty period is. It's typically they get a year, but I didn't see anything in writing, but.
That's all.
Okay, roll call please.
Olson,
Aye.
Wakefield.
Just one quick question, Kathy, could you repeat the dollar amount?
49,373.90.
Okay, perfect, thank you, Adam. Aye.
And Frith,
Aye.
Brown,
Alright,
Lightfoot.
Aye, motion carries.
The second item, the paving project on that little strip of railroad right away we talked about the last meeting. I did get an email back from Jim Styron. He's the rail planner for the DOT, and this is what he, I don't know if you guys had a chance to read this, but I'll read all of this. I explained to him what we were doing there and asked them to pay for that little piece of property, and his response was, unfortunately, the railroad's responsibility ends at the edge of the field panels of the crossing, regardless of the right-of-way ownership. As per century code, and then there's a bunch of numbers. The duty of the railroad to maintain all railroad crossings between the tracks and two either side of the tracks, 2 feet, I'm guessing. The local road authority's responsibility to maintain the approaches up to the field panels of the crossings. The crossing appears to be already concrete panels, and they are. Wyatt, the DOT district engineer, can back me up on this, but if you talk to the railroad master, they will be the first to say, quote, "We build railroads, not roads," unquote. They didn't build the road that goes over the tracks, but we will be responsible for it, other than the crossing surface itself. And then he does go on to say they'll forward this email to the public project manager for BNSF and see what their response is. So it doesn't look real hopeful that we're gonna get any money from them to do that little piece. And we figured roughly 15,000 and change, so we're putting it in our project, just so you guys are aware of what's going on there.
So we're gonna budget and then we're gonna hope for a miracle.
Exactly.
Any questions? Okay.
Alright. And then, vehicles, I did in my budget to buy a new pickup next year also, and we're gonna put a service utility body on it and a Tommy lift. And I laid the, prices that I got, looks like this, from the dealers in town here. The state bid is from Pucklick Chevrolet for, this is a 1-ton pickup, 4-door pickup with single rear wheels, so that utility box will fit on better. And that Pucklick Chevrolet price was $29,374.
Through the thing, they totally had, I'm sure he was the type of something was. Extra one,
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
And
on the side, it's possible to hear what people are thinking from far away.
Oh, you want it to be, you can't hear the numbers?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
And that was the two bids I only got from Marketplace Motors and Lake Chevrolet. Lake Toyota doesn't even make a 1-ton. And Devils Lake, the Chrysler Center doesn't even have a 4-door pickup. So $30,625 from Ford and $30,700. I didn't do as good as the sheriff did.
Is that state bid that delivered to?
That is delivered, because Devils Lake District needed one, so that's the bid for delivering it to our district.
Okay, Lucas, did you hear those numbers?
Yep, I got it, thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Ford or Chevy don't matter?
Honestly, Ford does make a better work pickup, and that's what this is gonna be, is a work pickup. suspension, springs, whatever, but it doesn't matter to me.
It's a good excuse by Ford. Stay local.
Is that with the Tommy lift and the utility box, or?
No,
No,
that's just
that's
the
separate.
cab and the,
Okay.
no
No
pickup
box.
box.
Right. And do you have a price for the Tommy lift or the utility
yet,
box?
But I will let you know when I get those. But I don't, that's not on there.
Sure.
So this is just for the regular pickup, and then we'll have to switch it over into the service body.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, any further discussion or questions?
So the Ford looks all right?
Yeah, that's a nice
I mean,
work pickup.
yeah, we've never really had a policy on, we always try to stay local if we can, but,
I'll make a motion to allow Kevin to purchase the Ford from Marketplace.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion to buy the Ford from Marketplace Motors. We have a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Brett,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Lightcon.
Aye. Motion carries.
And the next item, the National Engineers Convention is Wisconsin next year in April. I'd like to go, the registration is $745 for the convention, and then rooms are $774 plus tax. And I would drive, so it'd be no more for everybody.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and pick your second, I guess, to approve travel to the National Engineers Convention. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Pose same sign.
What town?
Motion carries.
The Dells.
Oh, nice.
One thing to keep in mind though, for flooding, we stay home. That's just the way.
Yeah,
Because April's always on flooding season.
yeah, if we have a tough spring.
Twins in town.
Okay, number 5, Wayne Owens ended up in the hospital with, well, I won't say it out loud, with those issues, and he's running out of sick time. And a couple of the guys are losing sick time and would like to donate the hours.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to allow sick hours to be donated. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And thank them for us.
Yeah.
It's really good of them.
And then the last one, our FEMA dollars, that we did our audit almost a year ago, they audited us on this, but now they finally came up with a final dollar amount from, this is for work that never got done, it was either underwater, or they chose not to do it, or for whatever reason, but it's $213,534.56.
215,000? Really? You write that down.
$213,534.56. That's all the sites that didn't get fixed, either underwater or whatever reason. Then we got over $400 in that account, so.
400,000.
Boy.
Say
We're gonna be
Get tough real quick. So then what happens to the balance then?
We have to pay back our, there's a 3%
Yep.
local match, or 3% state match, I have to pay them back that 3%, which won't amount to the balance, but the rest is for the administrative.
Well, just for our headache, basically, that
Exactly.
gets rolled back in our budget. I
I
guess
would
that,
say it'd be close to 200,000 we got from the administrative, right in that neighborhood.
any further discussion on it? I'd entertain a motion that we,
Move to approve.
we have a motion to pay back the FEMA disaster loan, the $213,534.56. We have a second. We have a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Brown,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Lightcon.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's all I have.
That's all you have. All All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, new business, approval of beer licenses.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the beer licenses. Let me go here and make sure we know what it's about. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Candy, have you heard anything on the transfer of liquor license on that Ed's that we not gonna have?
No, that was a back out.
Okay.
We had that back in July, August.
Yeah. They backed out.
Okay.
Okay. Approval of the letter of transfer.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the letter of transfer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Hey, Lucas jumped in. We're giving it to you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to approval of polling places, vote by mail, and hourly wages for the 2018 elections. Explanations, Andy. It's all pretty self-explanatory, but just so everybody
right.
knows what we're doing.
Right, but you have to make.
Are there any changes from previously?
No, we just, I want it to continue to be vote by mail.
Okay. So we'll still have,
I don't want to go back the other way.
we'll still have just a single one polling site in Devils Lake here at the Memorial Building.
Yes,
And then we'll still have the vote by mail option as we've had in the past. And then there'll still be 4 precincts.
Yep.
Okay. What are we,
and then we're paying,
yeah, what are we paying? them? Let me see
election
what it
workers
is
are
online.
paid $15 an hour.
Okay. And that's what we paid last time?
Yeah.
No problem finding people for $15 an hour?
Some are glad to help.
I'm sure there's some civic-minded
Yeah.
people that probably would just do it.
They bring
but
good
we're giving them
snacks.
15 bucks. Yeah. Maybe we should be paying more.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we will go to, oh,
Let's go back to the
yes.
beer license. Ed's isn't on here.
It's
We don't do this one?
Double
We don't
D.
do-
double D,
Double D.
Double D
Yeah.
enterprises.
Oh, that's, oh, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
DBA, yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
it's their
yeah.
state name or.
Yeah, they got their official name, but
Yeah.
it's different than what the DBA is. Okay, approve board appointments.
Water board meeting or no?
Well, we've got water board, planning commission,
District.
district health, county tuition review board. When's the last time they met?
Never.
I was gonna say, it's probably been a while. And the county reorganization and annexation board.
Never.
And we had some, applications in our last packet, correct?
Yep.
This one and the last one.
We have 3 letters for the water board. I don't know if you just want them one by one.
Well, do we have, planning and zoning just has the 2 people interested, correct? The people that are on
Yes.
there. So maybe we should start there since some of, we don't have
Okay.
any.
How about to approve that?
We have a motion to approve reappointing Eric Osmondstead and Kevin Frith to the
Yeah.
planning and zoning board.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Further discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
District Health,
Motion carries.
North.
District Health, Alonda Nord, was willing to accept reappointment.
I'll move we approve that one.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second to reappoint Alonda Nord to the District Health Board. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Move to approve Trish Hansen for County Tuition Review Board.
Okay, we have a motion to reappoint Trish Hansen to the County Tuition Board. Whatever the total name is here. County Tuition Review Board, excuse me. And we have a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And the Ramsey County Reorganization and Annexation Board. We have Candy Christopherson, Steve Moe, and Katie Nadeau who are on it right now, and they are all interested in reappointment.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reappoint Candy, Steve, and Katie to the Reorganization and Annexation Board. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and they are all reappointed. Okay, then we will roll back to the Water Board. We have, let's see here,
Paul Christensen,
Paul Christensen,
Randy
Randy
Shimmick,
Shimmick, and
and-
Steve Swantek, I believe, correct? Are the three that are interested.
And Paul Christensen
is here.
is here.
I was wondering who our new face was, but I thought maybe we had a visitor and delegation, but we weren't visiting.
Just new to you. It's been in here a few times.
All positive, Wolf.
Yeah.
Paul, you have anything you'd like to add to your letter of interest?
Well, I'm over on the west side, the very, very west edge of the county there. We, we see a lot of water come in over there, and I've been around a lot of people who, over the 60 years that I've been there, have been pretty adamant about some of the water issues and stuff. And I guess I'm just looking to educate myself a little bit and look at what's going on in other parts of the county and be a little bit engaged. That's all.
Do you have no issues attending the water board meetings?
No, I'm self-employed and I got no problem. I come in for parts all the time, so it's a trip I'm coming down for most of the time anyway.
It's generally once a month, it's, 2 to 4 hours. They do have meetings in Bismarck in December, a summer meeting in July that rotates generally among the bigger cities. Fargo, Grand Forks, Bismarck, Minot, Dickinson sometimes, Williston sometimes. All those are compensated for travel and meals, lodging, things like that. They do have a requirement that you have to have a water management course within 3 months of being appointed, something you could be willing to handle.
Yeah.
Site visits once in a while.
Site visits on occasion if somebody calls in with a complaint.
Yeah.
You generally have to go out and investigate, or somebody does from the board.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to appoint Paul Christensen to the water board.
okay, we have a motion to appoint Paul Christensen to the Water Board.
I would second that.
We have a second.
I think the board's been trying to keep people from different areas. They don't have specific districts. But I know both Randy and Paul are from that area that's being vacated by Dan Webster now, and Paul would be an excellent choice, so.
Okay. We have a nomination on the floor, or a motion on the floor, I should say. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Brown,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Britt,
Aye.
Lightfoot.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Kinda.
You just got yourself a job.
Thank you.
I do have a question for Jeff, though. This class that they're supposed to attend, are all the current board members taking that class?
Not to my knowledge. You know, and it's really a vague requirement, and Carrie can probably attest to this if she looks it up, but it was something that was added on to the tiling legislation last year, that water managers be, within 3 months, have a water course. But they didn't say what the water course was supposed to be about, how long it was supposed to be, what type of curriculum it was.
So do they have a developed course like through the water commission right now or anything like that?
No. What we've done in the Minot meeting last summer, they had a course based on the new tiling legislation, the requirements for the water resource districts, because there was significant changes to that particular law.
But the state's doing this.
Well, it was the Water Coalition, it was Dwyer's group that puts on the conferences, and they taught the class, or presented the class, and there was, I don't know, 3 or 4 different presenters at it. And then they did something similar down in Bismarck for the state convention. They came up with a new water manager's handbook that's got all the regulations and new laws, and it hasn't been updated in, well, at least 10 years that I know of. So they updated that, and they gave kind of about a 3-hour deal down in Bismarck on all the new things that were included in that water manager's handbook. But there again, it's something that, I don't know who's gonna enforce, Bob not taking a course or something.
It's a suggestion without enforcement.
It's like the commissioners.
Yeah, it's
their
no
classes.
different than SBA. We're supposed to have, 12 hours
Yeah.
of ILGs or something by the end of the first year or
Yeah.
something.
So, it's a requirement, but I'm not, unless it's brought to our attention, and I have personal knowledge of it because I work in that office, so I'm around it all the time, and who goes to what and attends this and that, and so, but it hasn't been discussed at, I don't think, at any of their meetings, as far as, you didn't go to, your class or attend this, or, so I guess until it comes to us from them.
Well, I guess I look at it too from the aspect of
I wouldn't push the issue at all.
No, but-
Out of the states, man.
No, I'm just coming in
It's
from the
not a
aspect.
county water board,
Yeah.
I mean, with their jurisdiction within our county, they have no jurisdiction with the state.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what's in our county, and they're gonna do what's the best interest of
Yeah.
what the county commission wants.
Right.
No, but,
I would put them away that.
No.
It was a
I don't think we have
legislative,
any water board members that have taken the course, but it's only been in a year, is that what you said?
it's only been in since, June 30th,
yeah, so it hasn't been a year, it's been 6 months.
right?
My whole thing I was gonna say is, the point is if they're gonna not stipulate it, it's a mandate, but it's not really a mandate. But if they're gonna stipulate it, they should come up with some kind of an online course we could jump on and do it in a few hours and maybe learn what the State Water Commission does or something like that, I mean, if you
Maybe
want.
they should ask the counties first.
Yeah, no, they should, I don't disagree, but I'm saying they should make it easy to do.
Something I suggested to them was give us a topic and somebody to present it, or a list of, and then I could host that as a joint board meeting, because then all 8 counties that are within the joint board could attend
Knock it
and
out.
bring, instead of just one member, they could bring all the members that would be available that day, and then knock it off, and, and because the certification is a little note that says, you attended this water management course on this date, and you sign it, and then your buddy next to you signs it as a witness. So, Yeah,
I think we wanna be careful whether we let this out or not, because we probably won't get any applicants next year.
well,
The whole point is they just want you to learn something,
Yeah.
that's all. I don't think that's a
We
bad.
struggle to get people to apply, so.
Yeah,
well, you know, and it's one of those things that there can be a lot of responsibility with it.
Oh,
You know, and there is a learning curve to it, but, you know, most of the applicants that we get, or they get, is, very knowledgeable individuals about water issues or, things like that, so, to make them take a course is really redundant and,
you still want this job?
Hey, all it's supposed to be is an open mind and common sense.
There you go.
That's what it's all about, man.
sounds like you got it figured out.
yeah,
All right,
so thank you, Paul.
yes, thank you.
Good, thank
So
you.
Candy will take care of rolling it from there.
I'd like to thank the other candidates also for
Yes.
putting their name
Of
in.
course.
Sure we don't wanna discourage anybody from wanting to be on boards.
No, we're always looking for people for a lot of different.
Absolutely. I'll tell Swantek, we can keep his on file.
Well, we'll scratch it up. But
We'll find somewhere for them to serve.
Yeah, there you go. He'll be glad to hear that.
Okay, moving on, approving commissioner appointments. We'll start with the Senior Commission on Aging, and these are all appointments that are up at the end of the year, just starting in January 1st. Senior Commission on Aging, right now Commissioner Brown is serving on that, would you be willing to do it again?
Yeah, I'll stay there.
Okay.
Try to make more meetings out that.
How often do they meet?
Once a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is, oversees the senior services then?
Thursday, 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be, try to be more diligent.
Okay,
But they have a good organization, they have a good board, they really have a good board, they have what? They must have 8 on there, so, I mean, so.
okay.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Ed Brown, Senior Commissioner of Youth.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
We have
I've
a
had a
second.
good start, so I'll stay.
Okay,
Here.
further discussion, seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Pose same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Next, we have the North Central Planning Council. Currently Commissioner Wakefield is serving on that. Are you willing to continue serving, Lucas?
Happy to.
Okay.
I'll move the lead, Lucas there.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reappoint Commissioner Wakefield to the North Central Planning Council. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. The Perimeter Road Committee. Currently Commissioner Brown and myself are on that. And I should be saying this is a 3-year term, the last 2 were 2-year terms. This is a 3-year term on the Perimeter Road Committee.
We haven't met for a long time, huh?
No, we haven't. In all honesty, I don't know if we've met since I got put on it.
I don't think you have.
We should probably do something about that at some point. But,
Yeah,
you know, in all honesty, we kind of just work through Kevin and the other, you know.
Unless we change our agreement, we just stick by the old one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, last time we met was when we were doing a truck route, and we redid who owned all that, so.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay,
I move to reappoint Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Lightfon to the Perimeter Road Committee.
okay, we have a motion to reappoint Commissioner Brown and myself to the Perimeter Road Committee. Do we have a second?
Second. I better not second.
Second.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at Mark, you better second. We have a second, further discussion.
Wakefield, speak up.
Seeing none, all those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Director of Tax Equalization.
Move to reappoint Elizabeth Black to that position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Elizabeth Black to the Director of Tax Equalization position for a 1-year term. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And last, Disaster Emergency Coordinator, 1-year term. Obviously,
Christian,
We have a motion to reappoint Kristen Nelson as a disaster emergency coordinator. Do we have a second? We have a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Alright,
Chairman Lightfoot.
Yes.
I have a question. I currently sit on the Heritage Center Board as the county appointment. I was wondering if anybody else would be interested in serving on that board. Take my place as there's a conflict of interest on that evening.
Do we deal with that next one?
no, cause well, we could, but I mean, when is his term up?
Once a ways.
It's a ways, yeah, cause we just reappointed you this last
It
year,
wasn't
right?
too long ago, yeah.
What time do they meet?
5:30.
On Wednesday.
Second Monday of the month. I was curious to know if Commissioner Wakefield would be interested in that since he's a board member on that board already, not a county board member, he's just a board
Then
member.
they'd have to go find another board member.
Yep, if nobody else was interested.
I think I'd have a conflict with the school board meetings, usually the second Mondays.
Don't look at me.
Commissioner Lucas, are you interested?
Well, I'm fine with, yeah, I mean, if nobody else wants to be involved, then I'll happily take the county's appointment for it.
And the
So
only one left is me. I would be interested in doing it, it's just.
You wanna do it?
I just don't know if Mondays are the best, but I could probably see if I can make it work, and then we can flip it later if we had to.
Well, Lucas, you think they can find somebody on the Heritage Board to take your spot as a at-large member?
Oh, certainly.
You think they can?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I like history, but
Whatever
that being
you want,
said,
I don't
let's,
care.
I'm not gonna, we'll let Lucas do it, and then they can find somebody else, and if they can't find anybody else, I'll just put my name in that way.
Are you sure I was ready to nominate yet?
You got a motion?
Yeah, we got a motion to appoint you if that's okay, and then we'll go from there. We have a motion and a second to appoint Commissioner Wakefield to the Heritage Center Board. I suppose then you'll have to give them a letter that you're resigning the other way, I suppose, I don't know. Figure it out. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, on to the next. Next, we are going to go to approval of meeting dates for 2018.
Motion to approve.
So I just was gonna ask about July 3rd. That's a Tuesday. Well, that day that ahead of the 4th, or?
I guess that's open for, I mean, we have a motion from Mark and a second from Jeff, I mean, we're open for discussion. The only ones we have moved right now are, instead of January 2nd, we went to the 3rd, just to give Candy some time to kind of get the first of the year stuff done for the amendments and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then,
Is the courthouse open on the 2nd?
yeah, courthouse will be open, it's closed on the 1st, we'll be open on the 2nd, but Candy, when we had our last meeting afterwards, asked if we could move the date, and I said that would be fine, because she needed an extra day basically, just to kind of get the end of the year business rolled up. And then the only other one we have moved is the 8th of November, instead of this, it would have been the 6th, what was the?
Election.
Oh, of course, election day would be the 6th, yeah.
In June, we're fine because we meet the week before. So.
Okay. So I guess the only one in question right now would be the 3rd of July, is everyone gonna be okay with that? Nobody's leaving for the 4th?
Problem.
Not right now.
I'll be here.
If somebody gone, like I said, if somebody gone to the 4th.
Yeah, but it sounds as though of now,
Well, the 4th is in the middle of the week,
But,
so.
gone for
Oh, yeah.
the weekend,
it sounds as though everybody's, yeah. Nobody sounds like they're going anywhere, so. He's selling fireworks.
It's the worst day of fall on there. Middle of the week is not good.
Leave it alone, man.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the slate of dates, for for next year's meetings. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor of approving the dates, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Approve application for court facilities improvement grant funds.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. What are we doing with these funds? We're looking for a metal detector.
Portable metal.
That
Nice.
is what they put in for it.
All right.
She's the one that's up there, is 360.
Yeah, we talked about this in the past, now we didn't get delivered. So it'd be $950 of county local matching funds then if we receive the grant. And we have that in the budget, so. Okay, we have a motion to a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good. And then, approve the 2018 contract with the village. Was that in our packet? I never saw that.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
No, it was on your desk.
Oh, it was on my desk,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. She didn't give it to me
Just
until yesterday.
any changes from last year's contract?
No, we're just less one employee.
So the contract is $2,040 for the year then.
$30 less.
$30 less, because it was $30 per FTE. We're paying for 68 FTEs.
And Crystal has been in contact.
Okay, I'll get
With
into my
that.
next question.
How much have we used it the last year? That's what I'm gonna ask. How many times? Once, five?
Well, I mean, no, they give a report. There's people that use it for counseling.
County employees.
Yeah.
What was Crystal's feel? She wanted to keep it on board as a resource? Okay.
Yep, she worked with them when she was at her previous job.
Okay. Fantastic, so
And
she's comfortable
supplied
with
her
them, she
with
likes them.
information and,
How much was the money again?
2,040, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah. For the whole year, that seems like a pretty affordable deal, really.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the contract with the village in a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the contract, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good. Visitors and delegations? No one. Okay. Announcements? Does anybody have any announcements?
Planning Commission met last week. We made a few changes to the draft. If anybody has any changes that was in attendance or that I emailed that stuff, the packets out to, let Joel know as soon as possible. He'll get those changes made. We can get those documents up on the website maybe and make them public, and then public comment or public hearing will be the 16th of January, I believe. Is that a Thursday? I think. Because we have to publish that in the paper so many times and give notice.
Tuesday?
Tuesday the 16th, there we go.
I was gonna ask the question of, being it's an ordinance change, then we have to have two readings then here, correct? Once it gets in front of us?
I would suspect so, yeah.
Okay, just like no different, because the two ordinance things we do are that and the liquor license, current liquor ordinance. So we'll have to have two hearings, so there'll be a public hearing, and then it'll be passed up. Well, then will the Planning and Zoning Commission vote on it after that public hearing then? To forward it on?
I would imagine that would probably be the next step,
Okay.
that they would take those public comments and either vote to approve them,
Or make some adjustments.
Or
and
make
then-
some adjustments.
Vote to change
and
it.
then vote to bring it to the county commission for adoption.
Okay, and then we'll have to have two hearings then.
So this Tuesday meeting, that's gonna be one of your
That'll be the only public hearing that we'll have.
the only one.
Time.
7 o'clock. The others will be within this commission.
Yeah, it'll be the only public hearing in front of the planning and zoning board of the draft document, then you'll finalize, and then we'll have, but people will still have time to comment here, because when, as a board of the 5 of us, we'll be able to make changes at that point if we deem them necessary to do that.
Yeah. But hopefully you'll make those changes prior to.
Assuming, everything goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same night as our January 16th meeting, the public hearing. So we
That's,
should, it's a Tuesday.
what is it,
16th.
what time are we holding it at?
The 7th.
7, okay, so we can go right down to it.
So we can
Awesome.
go right downstairs and, because I think Joel had something that night as well, so that time worked out well for him and gives us enough time to get it in the paper, the number of times as well, so.
Okay. Any further announcements? Yeah, I was just gonna make just say quickly, we had a Forward Devils Lake full board meeting last Friday. Yeah, it was Friday morning. And we had the preliminary results of the interviews we did with Paul Lucy all separately. He interviewed 24 people, board members, community members, just people with, some people with a vested interest, some not. So it was quite interesting seeing the range of ideas on the questions that he asked. No finished document yet, but we just kind of got a preliminary idea of where he's going to be going with the finished document, and then we'll get that sometime in, I think it's mid-January. He's going to come back and give us basically the finished document at that point in time. Also, at our last exec meeting, which was the day after our first meeting here in December, we voted to start advertising for a new executive director. We didn't set, I can't remember what we set the price range on wage, but anyway, we're gonna be advertising for that executive director position through the 31st of January. And currently, as of last Friday, we had 4 people already send in their resumes. So we have some interest in the position, but if you know anybody out there that might be interested, call them, go take a look at it. We've got it through job service as well as the city's website and everything like that too. So, as well as the economic development website. So they got a little bit of time to get their stuff installed if they're interested. Other than that, I think I don't have anything else either. So, any further announcements? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, and you have a second. We are adjourned.